So we use it for HR. We use it for payroll processing. We use it for time and labor. And we recently started using it for recruiting. Um, it addresses our recruiting needs. It helps us to be more efficient from an HR perspective. Payroll processing is more seamless. And now with the recent transition to Paylocity recruiting, it helps us to have one of the biggest advantages is it's a seamless transition from hire to onboard. I do like the enhancements that are made and how we receive communication about what those enhancements are. And we are given opportunities if we wanted to be early adopters and the communication and the training around those changes that are being made. The support when you're implementing a new module like Paylocity Recruiting, for example, and setting up the various templates, the implementation team was readily available to help us to seamlessly guide us through that process so that the system would be up and ready and we could focus more on training and development and making sure our people were ready to use the system. I would have to say that I don't know necessarily that the product itself has flaws. I think that the flaws may be more related to the people that are frontline in terms of supporting it. They don't know the system well enough to be able to help us navigate, because my expectation is when we come to the table with a Paylocity representative, we're sharing with you what our business, how we operate our business, and the expectation is that you understand the Paylocity system so that we can bring those two together and come up with a solution. And I think that's where there is a gap for us. We expect the support that we get to know the system well enough, but there have been a number of occasions where that has not been the case. For right now, in light of some of the support issues that we get, I would say maybe a 7. I'm optimistic that in time, we would become more proficient with the system, that we would need less support from others and be able to navigate it ourselves such that maybe we'll, maybe my perspective will go from a 7 to an 8, maybe even a 9. Well suited. So with seamless integrations with other platforms like Employee Navigator, recruiting, as I mentioned, the ability to be able to seamlessly find, employee-based information, and just the ease of use in terms of making employee-based changes with the HR actions and the workflows. So during our evaluation process, we looked at ADP, Bamboo HR, uh, Paycom, and Workday. Well, one of the things that make our organization unique is many of our employees have multiple jobs. And so we really needed a platform that could accommodate that. And that was something that many other platforms, either their ability to accommodate that was very rigid and that we had to do it a certain way, whereas there was a little bit more flexibility and options with Paylocity. The data is readily available so that we can actually see how, what our turnover ratio is or the data that we need to make decisions. Yeah, so I think overall it made our process a bit more seamless. There are training that's readily available that we can deploy to our employees as opposed to creating it. And it's customizable, so we can add things to it that is specific to our organization and just build on to what's already there. Well, it's made it so that we could spend less time on doing the things that we expect the system to do and more things on operating our gyms, which is what, what we're in the business of doing. Well, it's made it the process of communicating with employees were seamless. We have a broader reach. We're not expecting or depending on our employees to read their emails. They can actually get the notification immediately through Paylocity. I'd say maybe a 7 or 8. I would give it that overall rating because we implemented in 2023. And so although that may feel like a lot of time, it still is, we still have a lot to learn. And so I'm optimistic that as we learn more, that rating will increase. I'll say yes, although I'm still working to really see evidence of that. Yes, thus far, yes. Some they did. Yeah, there was some over promising or things that we were led to believe would work a little bit differently than what was promised. But overall, I'd say yes. It went as expected. There were some things that could have been improved, but it went. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we use Google. We use Approach. We have a separate POS in support of the business. Well, I'm a Microsoft person, so that's less likely because of my background. But I guess as I spend more time with Google, that may change.